Latin America is full of exotic destinations, but if you want world-class scuba diving, ancient Mayan history, authentic Garifuna culture, and real-life cowboys, well, Honduras is your spot. Hadn't thought much about it? Well, maybe it's time you did. Join us, and we'll show you why. It's time for the real, the raw Honduras.
Travel. For some, it's a luxurious escape, or maybe an adrenaline-filled adventure. But if you're like me, it's a precious opportunity to discover and to give back. It's time to get real. It's time to get raw. It's time for RawTravel.
There are two main cities in Honduras, the capital city of Tegucigalpa and San Pedro Sula in the north. Some travelers find Tegucigalpa big and unwieldy, not to mention really hard to pronounce. We began our journey in San Pedro Sula. The Sula Valley is rich in natural resources and is a good hub to see the main sights in the rest of the country. I met up with Honduran friends Miriam and Eto to check out downtown San Pedro Sula. Now, if you're into fancy architecture, downtown may very well disappoint. But the people will not. Hondurans are entrepreneurial. If I'm not sick and I'm traveling, then chances are I'm hungry. So the ladies took me to my favorite go-to spot, San Pedro Sula's local market, Mercado Guamilito. This is a baleada, which is very traditional for a Honduran breakfast, right? And it's a baleada, and sometimes for dinner as well, right? But never for lunch. I should never. That's not how you eat it. Oh, you gotta get your hands dirty. All right. Oh, like a pizza. Like this? Now we ready? Can I have it now? I wasn't expecting what I got. Yeah, it's thick. Well, all I can say is that if that's what Hondurans have for breakfast, lunch must be insane. Miriam and Ethel took me around the market to see if I could find something unique to bring the kinfolks back home. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Yo, I hope you got that.
You're good.
Yes. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. In Honduras, the first thing I noticed when we crossed the border was the proliferation of cowboy hats, basically cowboys, and they're tough guys. These aren't like sissy cowboys like we have in the United States. I hope I don't get beat up for that, but these are really cowboys. These are real cowboys. So I'm trying to look for a cowboy hat. I don't think this is what, is this a hat? Is this really a hat? Yes? People wear this? People wear this, so I guess it's okay. It's just for visiting tourists to look stupid or no. Ethel's car could not take the excitement of foreign visitors and promptly overheated and refused to budge. Now there's rarely a good time or place to break down, but this curvy stretch of heavily trafficked road was particularly perilous. The National Armed Forces happened by and helped us out. Now these guys are my new favorite heroes. After the gritty confines of San Pedro Sula, I was ready for some small-town charm. I ended up in the small town of Comayagua. They do have a colonial downtown. Oh, and a very old clock. For hundreds of years, every hour on the hour, the town bell rings. Comayagua's claim to fame is they seem to have the oldest clock in the world. Ismael, is that true?
Sí, bueno, podríamos estar ante el reloj más antiguo en el mundo. Es considerado el más antiguo en América. Lo manejábamos como el segundo más antiguo en el mundo, trabajando a gravedad de peso.
This system of iron weights was brought by the Spanish in the mid-1500s. And you thought the Spaniards only brought disease, death, and destruction to Latin America. The crew and I bolted Comayagua to the decidedly friendlier climes of northern Honduras and the port city of La Ceiba. Most visitors in La Ceiba are on the way to the diving hotspot island of Roatan. Roatan is an island, so there's only two ways to get there, by plane or by boat. Now I'm a cheapskate, so I usually go by boat. The only problem is sometimes the voyage gets a little rough, so just in case, I got a little motion sickness pill. It was a rough ride. I made it through without hurling, but I can't say the same for all my shipmates. Roatan is simply gorgeous. The place to be in Roatan is largely concentrated on the west of the island. West Bay or West End is a haven for divers from all over the world.
What's so special about the diving in Roatan?
Well, to me, it's one of the easiest places in the world to dive.
Oh, okay.
One of the best my favorite dive sites is right out front.
Yeah.
Which realistically you could shore dive. We could walk in right here and within a 10-minute surface swim, it's 2,000 feet.
And do you believe that travelers, when they come down here, how can they help? Is there a way that they can come in and maybe, you know, not just learn to dive and get something for themselves? Is there anything they can do to, like, you know, just travel in a responsible manner? Any tips that you would advise?
Yeah, they can, we've had people before volunteer for the marine park.
Okay.
So they'll do volunteer beach cleanups.
Okay.
So whether you're walking on the beach or walking wherever, or grab snorkel, mask fins, and just get out on the reef system here and just collect all the garbage.
Excellent.
Like most of the modern world, Roatan generates way too much garbage. But there is one man, a tourist turned resident, who had a vision of turning garbage into artwork while creating a better life for poor Roatan residents.
Adam, what was the inspiration for Rusty Fish? Why did you start it?
I'm an artist and I love doing artwork myself, but
Right.
one thing I recognized on Roatan is that there's a high level of poverty and there's a real lack of employment opportunities.
Right.
But I also recognize that tourists are starting to come to Roatan, and when they do come, they're buying a piece of artwork, something to remind them of their stay, to remind them of their visit. But ironically, these souvenirs are being imported from Indonesia and even China.
Wow.
And it seemed crazy to me to be sending those tourist dollars to overseas countries when there's such poverty right here.
Right.
So my idea was to engage the local workforce and to make artwork right here. Not only is it made by local families, it's inspired by the island.
Adam has gathered a talented group of local artisans and given them an opportunity to make income for their families by creating art from what others would simply consider garbage.
This is a great one for a restaurant. Roatan's famous for its king crab, one of the most delicious meals you'll find in the restaurant. And a king crab is about this size, so a great display. This one has been handmade from different pieces of metal.
Okay, I'll admit it, Roatan can be touristy, but for good reason. If you're not into diving, there's still plenty to keep you busy and active.
Most people come to Roatan to scuba dive, but I've always wanted to try stand-up paddleboarding. So I'm with Steve from Steve's Paddle Shack. Steve, never done this before. How hard is it going to be?
It's not very hard. That's why it's super popular these days. Everybody's trying paddleboarding.
Steve was right. It was easy. I didn't even fall once. I didn't even get wet. It was peaceful drifting along, just the wind, the water, and me. I got an incredible view of the island, and it was a pretty good workout as well. I am now officially a paddleboard fanatic. I don't mean to get all deep on you, but if diving while staying dry is your thing, then you need to check out Roatan's star attraction, Submarine Builder and local celebrity, Captain Carl Stanley.
Carl, this is your submarine. You built it with your own hands. What's the inspiration, man?
Read a book when I was 9 years old. That a little short, actually just a short story, 3 pages, had some kids building a sub, and when you're that age and you say you want to do something like that, people are encouraging. I was gullible enough to believe them, and here I am.
The same reason Roatan is great for scuba is the same reason it's good for submarines. Captain Carl is one smart dude. He offers adventurous travelers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go deep into the final frontier for an unforgettable experience in his home-built submarine, the Isabel.
How deep do you go?
Well, the deepest that I offer tours to the public, which is the deepest they can go anywhere in the world, is 2,000 feet. But I've had this machine 200 meters deeper, 2,660 feet, which is just over half a mile.
Oh man, that's incredible. Do most people who take this journey with you down, are they just tourists, or are they avid divers who want to go deeper?
Almost all the people coming to this island 10 years ago were divers.
Right.
Now, Roatan is attracting a much more well-rounded crowd of people, you could say. And I can't imagine my business without the internet. And
Right.
they just get in their head, oh, I want to go in a submarine for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I'll have people come from Europe and Japan and wherever the heck to, this is the best spot in the world for them to go down in a submarine.
Roatan was a great experience, you know. It's definitely on the tourist trail. You're more likely to hear English here than Spanish. I think a trip to Roatan should be on your agenda because it's different. And it's good to just sit back, relax, and chill. I wish I could stay longer, but, you know, I got to keep moving on.
Honduras shares a powerful history with its neighbors. The Mayan Empire governed much of Central America for centuries. In Copan, you will find one heck of a fascinating footprint from this ancient civilization.
Here we are standing in the Grand Plaza, in the main plaza. Here used to be a huge amphitheater. This is a temple. In the top of this temple used to be the king, and he talked to the people, more than 20,000 people around.
What would the king say? Just make announcements, or I'm gonna, you know, tax you guys some more, or we need some more money, or we need to build a temple? What would he say?
Maybe about the trade, the ceremonies. This used to be the ceremonial temple, the
Okay.
political center.
Over 1,000 years ago, this was one of the great centers for the Mayan people. Today, walking around these beautifully preserved ruins, one gets a sense of what life may have been like centuries ago.
This is the ball field.
Oh, okay.
There were 5 players there
Uh-huh.
and 5 players there.
Okay. And what was the purpose of the game? Was to, like, hit a ball with their hips, right?
Actually, more than a game was a ceremony.
Oh, ceremony. Okay. Bigger than a game.
They used this ball
Yeah.
made out of rubber.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
the ball was symbolizing the sun god.
Okay.
So the ball's supposed to be in the air.
Ah, okay.
At the end of the game,
Yeah.
the captain of the winning team, he was beheaded over here.
The captain of the winning team gets beheaded,
This is for the blood.
and it has a little groove for his blood. So if you win, you know you're gonna die, and that seems really dumb, but back then I guess it made sense. It was a big honor to
It was a
die
big
for
honor
the
to him
king,
to
right?
die.
It's like survival of the fittest, but in reverse. The ruins of Copan are among many in Latin America, but they have one big thing the others don't.
Mauricio, this is what people from all over the world come to see, right? This right here is what has made Copan famous, right?
This is the most important temple here. It's the famous hieroglyphic stairway. It's the longest text carved in a stone in the Americas.
Wow. It looks like it's being protected because of the tarp overhead to keep it the rain and sunlight, is that right?
Mm-hmm. You're right. Actually, it's been protected by the tarp since the 1980s. This is the Plaza of the Jaguars. Looks like a stadium, huh? You
Yeah, man, yeah.
see? Used to be an amphitheater, more than 2,000 people around.
Wow.
Here we are standing in front of the Jaguar, actually. It's an original piece.
Yeah.
You can see the spot missing,
Uh-huh,
the
yeah.
tail.
And he looks like he's posing for the camera a little bit, like.
Yeah, he's happy. He's like dancing.
He's dancing.
Yeah.
It's a dancing jaguar.
Copan is not just ancient ruins, it's also a small town that sits close to the border of Guatemala. Given its history and namesake, it's probably no surprise that most everything revolves around Mayan roots and culture. If you have kids in tow, or like me, just never grew up, you may enjoy the nearby Children's Museum. Here you can learn some Mayan words, see replicas of clothing and costumes, and even get a feel for the famous ball game.
So at the museum, they have a replica of the ball that they used to play, and this thing is heavy. They say it's 4 kilos or about 8 pounds, and I can't imagine hitting that with my side, but that does explain why this is so thick. So I guess they use some kind of rubber, but man, this thing It's heavy. This would be a workout, definitely.
Tetos Verdes translates to green roofs, and this is just one of the many concepts of this eco and wallet-friendly organization. Tetos Verdes focuses on teaching people how to save the environment through ecological architecture and practical green living.
What's wrong with building a building like we see, like the kind we see in Manhattan all over the place, the glass buildings, or even this building right here in this climate?
You cannot build those buildings here in the tropic because they don't make any sense.
Right.
They have to spend like 60% more in energy for cooling than a smart building. So smart buildings here, they must have shadow, they must have cross ventilation, they must have high ceilings, or the color is really important also. The glass can only go onto the north. You cannot have it in the east, west, or south.
Right.
So there are many different things you cannot use here. When you use them, you are obligating people to spend more energy.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
It sounds common sense,
Yes,
right?
that's what it is.
That's what you focus on, common sense. So
Yes.
just so everybody knows, stupid common sense.
Angela showed me around the complex where they have examples of how simple design techniques can cool down the temperature of homes and businesses the world over.
These, I've seen these slats, these wooden slats. What are those? What's the purpose of those? 'Cause I've seen those before.
Oh, those are for shade, yes,
Oh, okay,
exactly, for shade.
okay.
And we use these recycled wooden pallets.
Oh, so those are just wooden pallets?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the thing is that they don't have much budget. So
Right.
you gather all this, you break them, you use them, and you collect all the pipes from construction sites, all the leftovers, and we use them as spacers.
So not only is it recycling, it's very practical for people who don't have a lot of money.
Yes.
Right? And you recycle the water as well, the runoff, right?
Yes, that's the idea. So you put here the plastic bag and you gather all the water, and you can have a faucet and use the water for gardening or anything.
And there's hardly anything wasted, and these are pallets used as steps. I'm sitting here, my mind is racing. I'm like, New York City, can I find an empty lot somewhere?
Well, New York, of course not, but here in the tropics, it's
if I could get one of these on the roof of one of the buildings, maybe nobody would notice, right?
And you can actually build a green roof on top of those over there also, and you have your own terrace.
Right,
your
exactly.
Park, your private park.
And a green roof is, just for those who don't know, is that where you grow plants and stuff to keep the roof cool, correct?
Yes, cool or keep the heat inside, depends on your weather. All this roof is covered with plants, only the small section is not. So you come under here and you touch here, and it's gonna be really hot when the sun is really above us. And right next to you it's gonna be really cool.
Let me try that. There's a huge difference. Like, this isn't really like hot, but it's warm, and if the sun was out, a tin roof, it would be really hot. And this is completely cool to the touch.
That's one of the advantages of having a green roof.
Travelers can also stay for weeks or months at a time and experience firsthand their simple solutions for ecological housing.
These are your metal containers, and they have the green walls, right? Is that the correct terminology, right?
Yes, these are for the groups. When they come over, you can have 16 people in each container in the bunk beds. And these are for the shadowing, and it's beautiful when it has the flowers and all the perfumes and all. So,
I want a metal house now, you know? Well, Angela, this has been great. I've learned so much. I mean, this is amazing, and I'll never be the same. I'll never look at the house again the same way as I have after my conversation with you, and it's really amazing. I hope that Honduras, Central America, and of course the big monster North America takes note, and that we all sort of change the way we think about building houses. And I really appreciate the work you're doing, and thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for coming over here.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. Congratulations.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
And this is Dio.
Oh yeah, hey
this
buddy.
Is my son.
Right on cue. What's up, man? Just outside of La Ceiba, you get a feel for the heart and soul of the Garifuna culture. In towns like Sambo Creek, they have hotels, hostels, restaurants, and the people, man, they're the best. They just don't get any friendlier.
I've been to a lot of places, but Sambo Creek takes the cake when it comes to rolling out a warm welcome. We arrived unannounced and were immediately swarmed by this unofficial welcoming committee who wanted us to know they were happy we were there, or maybe they were just happy. These humble communities remind me of how pure and simple life really can be.
Do you get a lot of visitors here?
Yeah, we get a lot of visitors. We get a lot of tourists who come from different places of world.
Why do people come here? They want to experience Garifuna culture? Is it just because it's a beautiful place by the sea, or they heard that the people are really friendly? Why do you think they come here?
We're trying to change the community. So we change into the kids, especially, to be respectable, to talk to the tourists. Because if you're not a tourist, we don't have money to come to the community.
Right.
So what we're trying to take care of it is the tourists come here and to have a good time.
The Garifuna are descendants of Carib, Arawak Indians, and West African people. They originated from the island of St. Vincent when they migrated to Roatan in the late 1700s before spreading to the coast of Honduras and other Central American countries. Sambo Creek is one of several Garifuna communities all over Honduras.
Well, you get more tourists and it helps the people out here. And then more importantly, or maybe just as importantly, people come here and then they can know about the Garifuna community.
Yep.
And that helps keep the culture alive.
Traveling to places like Sambo Creek really opens my eyes. I'm reminded how by simply the luck of geography, I have so much compared to most people in the world. I always want to give back in some small way to help others and in the process, enhance my own life.
You know, clean drinking water is a problem throughout much of the world. So what a lot of travelers are doing is they're hooking up with companies like the Sawyer water filter, and they're going to places where drinking water is a problem. And all you need is really a bucket or a bottle, plastic bottle like this, and you attach the filter, and dirty water goes in, clean water comes out, and voila, problem solved.
The Sawyer water filter is just one of many cutting-edge environmental solutions travelers can bring to help others when visiting developing destinations.
Just let it go down, down, down. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Ah, es bueno. ¿Te gusta? I'm with Nelly from Rancho San Luis, and what Nelly does is she takes sick and injured animals and nurses them back to health. And also she has like a zoo, an exhibit, or sanctuary for these animals for educational purposes. So she's going to show us around. Vamos? Okay.
Nelly has a variety of animals from deer to various species of birds and even weird-looking raccoons. Hey, buddy, you look familiar.
What is that?
Gato de monte, a mountain cat.
A mountain cat. Wow, it's the niño. So this is the kind of work that Nelly does. A lot of people, they get exotic birds or animals and they don't know how to treat them or they mistreat them. And so in this case, this exotic bird had its foot amputated in order for it to live, but at least it's still alive. So this is the kind of work that Nelly does.
Now, I've definitely seen these in New York City.
Look, 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 look.
Mire, y ratón.
Nelly even built a little island for her monkeys. Monkeys are cute and curious. My time in Honduras flew by. I was fortunate to visit most of the country's main sites, but there are still major regions I've yet to visit. Maybe next time. And there will be a next time. In the meantime, I'll thrive on my memories of the ancient ruins, cowboys in the street, the simple hospitality of Sambo Creek, and the extraordinary people with big brains and even bigger hearts who are helping us all live in a much better world.